Good morning, everyone. No, I am not your appointed moderator. Nonetheless, I am Shakisha Wilson Scott, first Vice President for the Jade Board of Management, and I greet you. We are going to start our program, and I just want to invite persons to stand as we sing the national anthem. Play the national anthem. Thank you. This video always ignites a sense of pride in me as a Jamaican, out of many one people, right? So good morning again, everyone. Again, my name is Shakisha Wilson Scott, and I am filling in momentarily, and I am bringing you welcome and introductions at this time, and warm greetings. I would like to welcome you to Jade's Employment Expo 2023. I acknowledge in this room Mr. Mitsuyoshi Kawasaki, resident representative from JICA and other members of the JICA and alumni team. Ms. Jodian McFarlane, Senior Operations Manager, Digicel Foundation. Other members of the council board, which is led by Dr. Joan Reed, who I don't think is here at this time. I'm not sure if there are other members here. I acknowledge Mrs. Marilyn McCoy, Executive Director of JADE, and other members of the JADE team. Our panelists, Dr. Roberta Tortello, UNICEF, Ms. Sophia Watt, UCC, Creighton Estate Coffee Company, Ms. Debbie Garbott, Parang Industries, our interviewers, Ms. Mangu Carnegie, Group HR Manager, Everglades Farms Limited, Ms. Priscilla Chambers, Director, HRM, Ministry of Tourism, Ms. Charlene Buckley, Human Resource Associate, Operations, UNICEF Jamaica Office, Ms. Kristen Jones, Assistant Manager, Supply Chain, Imagination Farm, Ms. Shayon Palmer, National Service Corps Program Officer, Heart NSTA, Trust. All our young adults in here, young persons with intellectual disabilities, school representatives, other persons from the disability community, others joining us online, all a warm welcome to you all. This expo this morning is being hosted in partnership with the JICA Alumni Association in Jamaica and the Digicel Foundation. Can we give them a round of applause for that, please? Thank you. This is a monumental event that comes at an opportune time as we celebrate Disability Awareness Week. The theme for today's event, advocating for the participation of persons with intellectual disability in employment, falls in tandem with the theme for Disability Awareness Week, inclusion in action, building accessible communities. how better to push for the inclusion of persons with intellectual disabilities? Our partners of the event today have been instrumental in creating employment opportunities for youth with intellectual disabilities. JICA Alumni Association Jamaica has provided capacity building for JADE professionals through training focused on intellectual disability in community activities, both virtually and in person. JICA also provides ongoing support to CHUP's social enterprise. I believe when you're coming in, you saw some of the evidence of their work, and employment support programs. So thank you to JICA. Digital Foundation has also been instrumental in infrastructural development in 3 parishes, Kingston, St. Mary, and St. James, to increase the access to school placement as well as specialized training provided to teachers. Support has also been provided to JADE Social Enterprises Troops, again, and the Uniform Production Center to strengthen operations and provide employment support to young adults with intellectual disability. Thank you, Digital Foundation. We acknowledge, ladies and gentlemen, that employment remains a dream, unfortunately, for many persons with intellectual disability in our country. Historically, persons with intellectual disabilities experience low levels of employment despite their abilities, desires, and their willingness to work. Stigma, discrimination, lack of understanding, and the absence of organizational support are just some of the barriers to employment that are experienced. This Expo will not only highlight a number of the barriers, but the solutions that organizations have implemented to support the employee with intellectual disability in their respective organizations. The organizations represented here today, we thank you. And for those that may not be here but do support our persons with intellectual disability, thank you as well. We applaud the Heart NSTA Trust for the partnership enjoyed since 2003 in the provision of post-secondary skills training. We commend the management for continuing the empowerment program, which commenced in 2014 by the Ministry of Youth through the National Youth Service. This program provides job skills training and exposure to persons with intellectual disabilities in the workplace with job coaching support. JADE is also proud of its own role in the program design training of the first job coaches for the program that was specifically implemented for young adults with mild intellectual disability. So let's give JADE a round of applause for that. And let me just pause to highlight that this is an established model. I remember talking to Mrs. McCoy about that. That has been adopted by others. So kudos to JADE. As organizations across Jamaica make efforts to make their work environments inclusive, JADE encourages you to include persons with intellectual disabilities. A number of companies across Jamaica that have already come on board in employing such persons, and for this, again, we salute you. Over time, we hope to garner more insight from our stakeholders on the best practices that have enabled the continued support for persons with intellectual disabilities in the labor force. And in doing so, we hope that others will join in the move. Ladies and gentlemen, today's proceedings promise to be informative and engaging. From shared experiences and lessons learned by some of our employers, strategies for enhancing the employment landscape for persons with intellectual disabilities, to some practice interview sessions in the afternoon, there is something for each person in this room to benefit from. Welcome again to the JADE Employment Expo 2023. Do enjoy.
All right, thank you so much for that warm welcome. Good morning, everyone. All right, let's try that again. Good morning, everyone. All right, my name is Brittany Clark. I do apologize for my tardiness, but I'm here now and we're ready to continue with the program. Thank you so much for getting it started for me. And those were the greetings, of course, on behalf of JADE, Council of Management, from Dr. Shakisha Scott Wilson. So again, just to touch base with the formalities, Mr. Mitsuyoshi Kawasaki, resident representative from JICA, Ms. Jody Ann McFarlane, Digicel Foundation, panelists, specially invited guests, everyone present, a warm, warm, warm good morning to you all. It's my absolute pleasure to be here, to be a part of such a great initiative, because we know that inclusivity and diversity is a top priority for a wholesome workplace and work environment. So to see that Jade is, leading this discussion, our partners are on board, it's excellent to see that this is what we're here to support, and we're looking forward to see how it manifests in the upcoming year. So as Jade joins with the rest of the world in celebrating International Disabilities Week, Awareness Week rather, we are concerned about the inequality in employment that exists among persons with intellectual disability. They are not readily considered potential members of the workforce. They experience personal as well as societal barriers and continue to exclude them. Now, in today's discourse, we will be hearing from the employers of the PWID who will share their experiences working with persons with intellectual disabilities, the solutions they have to implement into their organizations to support them and the efforts, of course, to make these environments more inclusive, and a few testimonials. So we'll be hearing from persons who are part of this initiative and hearing how it benefits them all together. So the objective of today, of course, is to share the testimonials, to hear their stories, and for the persons with intellectual disabilities to benefit from the Expo. So they'll have several interview sessions with representatives from organizations to provide job skills, training, and employment experiments and opportunities. So right now, it's been exciting. I know you heard the welcome earlier, but right now we're actually going to be hearing from Mr. Mitsuyoshi himself as he brings greetings on behalf of the Japan International Corporation Agency. Now, Mr. Kawasaki commenced his tour of duty in Jamaica in July 2022. He previously served in leadership capacity at Okinawa International Center and his previous country assignment, JICA, Pakistan. So please join me in welcoming him to the platform as he brings greetings.
Wagwan. So my name is Kawasaki. Oh, I was very surprised that moderator Ms. Brittany's Clark interactions, personal introductions, amazing. So nobody knows about that in Jamaica. I'm a chief of JICA Pakistan office, chief of Maldives office on Nepal, etc. So today, first of all, I have to say congratulations and high appreciation toward three parties joint collaboration work: JADE, JAJ, and Digicel. So let me share with you the background information on surrounding situation of the person with disabilities. Some of you knows about that. WHO point out that about 1 billion person with disabilities, or 15.4% of the world's population, have been one of the groups most often left behind. It is estimated that approximately 20% of the population living in the extreme poverty has some form of disability. And 90% of children with disabilities in developing countries are deprived of the opportunity to attend school. This is the information in 2016. The urgent issue in each country is to promote the creation of working and employment environments that realize decent work for all in order to secure the livelihoods of the vulnerable. Let me share with you the situation of the person with disabilities. COVID-19 pandemic seriously affect to the person with disability. It is not no need to explain with you about this serious issue. Let me share with you SDGs goal. SDGs sets a target. Target 8.5. Some of you knows about that. Let me share with you again here. Achievement of full and productive employment and decent work for all. I would like to share with you JICA Global Agenda for Social Security and Disabilities and Development. It has an objective to seek for the realization of a society that is inclusive of the vulnerable, such as elderly, women, children, and persons with disabilities. In order to secure the livelihoods of the vulnerable, social security policies alone are insufficient. And it has become a global trend to take an integrated approach, compromising social security and employment policies to improve the employment and working environment, with the aim of supporting the vulnerable to establish an economically social, independent livelihood base. So I raise up the strong concern in the context of Jamaica, accurate data. Accurate data on disabilities needs to be collected and managed in official statistics in not only Jamaica, in developing countries. This is a first step to accurately recognize the actual situation of persons with disabilities, especially after the pandemic, and appropriately support them. This point of view will be incorporated into policy planning training for administrative officials. In many developing countries, in Jamaica, administrative organization officials who are in charge of disability issues and organization persons with disability do not have adequate capacity to promote disability mainstreaming, so that their empowerment networking are crucial. So JICA would like to put priority in the field of disability and development. Yes, definitely our main partner is JADE and JAAJ, JICA Alumni Association in Jamaica. So let's let's work together for building the really, you know, shall I say, bright future for the person with disability in Jamaica. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kawasaki. Now, coming from his presentation, we heard, well, what stood out to me especially was that 90% figure he mentioned. 90% of children living with intellectual disabilities are deprived. Anybody heard that statistic when he mentioned it? That's alarming because a lot of persons don't realize that it's a lot more prevalent than we actually notice. So if 90% of those persons are deprived, that's a significant chunk of the population that is deprived from essential life-sustaining opportunity. That's a big deal. So this is just one step in order to reduce that figure. That's a global figure. 90% is high. So we need to drop that figure. And Jamaica, of course, is leading that charge through this initiative. So thank you so much, Mr. Kawasaki, and for your support. So the next presenter is from Digicel Foundation, and her name is Jody Ann McFarlane. So for Digicel Foundation, they actually have 3 pillars. It's special needs, education, and community development. So I believe that even though this would fall under the special needs category, there's still some education, and there's still some community development, because we're now fostering a community for these persons to now, be able to establish themselves, have a place of belonging, and be able to sustain themselves for the future. So Digicel Foundation, of course, aptly aligned with this initiative. And Ms. Jody Ann McFarlane, she has experience in leadership and management, both in the public and private sectors. Coupled with her experience as an educator, has facilitated the tremendous leadership and support she has given to projects implemented by Digicel Foundation. And of course, this goes towards the disabilities community and other sectors. She's also a Justice of the Peace for the Parish of Kingston, so if you need her support in that area, feel free to reach out after the event. Now, at this time, please join me in welcoming Ms. Jody Ann McFarlane to bring greetings on behalf of the Digicel Foundation.
All right, thanks for that, Brittany. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests and advocates for inclusion, good morning. Promoting workplace inclusivity fosters a feeling of belonging amongst colleagues, leading to increased productivity, enhanced innovation, and improved decision-making. When employees experience a stronger sense of connection, team performance is positively impacted. Creating an inclusive workplace starts with strong leadership. As a member of the valuable 500, a global initiative to table disability issues at the board level, and as a company, we've prided ourselves on ensuring equal opportunity employment for persons with disabilities. So, it is only fitting that Digicel and the Digicel Foundation would lead the charge for workplace inclusivity in corporate Jamaica. Today, I wish to shed light on the efforts of the Foundation in championing the cause for persons with disability and our leadership with special needs sector. Education played a crucial role in dismantling stereotypes and fostering understanding. Our workplace has established programs to sensitize employees at all levels about the needs and capabilities of persons with disabilities. In October, we celebrate Special Needs Awareness. For example, we would host live events, live sign language classes, and other various disability inclusive sessions. We would invite our partners in the disability community to have educational workshops for our staffs. We have also invested in infrastructural accommodations that ensure our physical workspaces are accessible to all, from wheelchair ramps to accessible restrooms. We are committed to providing an environment where every employee can navigate the workplace with ease. One of the most pivotal aspects of our commitment to inclusivity is reflecting in our internship programs. It's reflected in our internship program. Through the Power Internship Program, we recruited and trained persons with special needs and offered opportunities for full-time employment upon successful completion of the program. By offering internships, we not only provided valuable work experiences, but also broke down barriers that may have previously hindered entry into the workforce. Furthermore, the Foundation has been a driving force in advocating for policy change that fosters a more inclusive environment. we have been partnering with the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities and the Ministry of Labor and Social Security to promote the needs for legislative action since the passing of the Disabilities Act of 2014. In 2021, we held a virtual conference on special needs under the theme, Overcoming Challenges to Workplace Inclusion. And our work has extended beyond the workplace. We actively support business owners by persons with disabilities. As was mentioned earlier on, CHUPS is one of our partners that we have supported throughout the years through mentorship programs, networking opportunities, and financial support. Another example of this is Deaf Can Coffee, run by deaf youths in a social enterprise that originated with the simple yet powerful intention of affirming the value of deaf teenagers. As part of the foundation's relationship with Deaf Can Coffee, they have been invited on several occasions to engage with staff, to guarantee the sale of coffee, and to share the message of inclusion and respect for all. Since inception, we've invested a total of US 11.19 million in special needs. We have constructed 20 special needs schools and built in 48 schools ramps to ensure that individuals who have physical disabilities are able to access those resources. The theme for this year, Inclusion in Action, Building Accessible Communities, resonates deeply with the stride that the foundation has taken to make a significant impact in the lives of persons with disabilities. Together, let us continue to build a future where inclusivity is not just a goal, but a lived reality for all. Let's create a world where no one gets left behind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. McFarlane. I love that slogan from Digicel Foundation, creating a world where no one gets left behind, right? That sounds nice, right? Yeah, I love that. That sounds like it really encapsulates the mission for today, inclusivity, diversity, community. Yeah, those are the themes that I want everyone to kind of hold on to as we move throughout this program. Want to acknowledge, of course, our president from the JADE Council of Management, Dr. Joan Reed. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. All right, so we've heard the term a lot throughout this morning so far, intellectual disability, but do we really understand what that means? Is there anybody who's not quite clear what intellectual disability means? All right, well, we have a lot of bright students in here, but for you who are a little shy to put up your hand, don't worry, we have an informative video for you, so I know we'll direct your attention to the screens.
An intellectual disability, according to the DSM-5, is a condition that starts during the developmental period, so when an individual is less than 18 years old, and it includes deficits in both intellectual functioning and adaptive functioning. And adaptive functioning includes different domains. A social domain includes the way an individual is able to communicate and interact with other people. The conceptual domain, you think of more like academic skills, so your reading, writing skills, all of those skills that you learn throughout your school years. The practical domain includes different life skills, so domestic skills like cleaning your house, preparing meals, and self-hygiene skills. Generally, overall, the symptoms appear during childhood, so when an individual is less than 18 years old, and as they're trying to meet those developmental milestones as assessed by their pediatrician. So are they walking on time, speaking on time, drawing on time, counting on time? And then also, at school, teachers may identify an individual who is not interacting with their peers in the same way, or is having some academic difficulties. Rarely individuals who have an intellectual disability can be missed during childhood, unfortunately. They get through life, they're an adult, but maybe they're struggling in some ways because they don't have the support system they need. If that is the case for you, it's best to start with your family doctor, let them know about your concerns, and then they can either refer you to a psychiatrist or a psychologist for further assessment. to make sure that you weren't missed as a child. So there are different levels of intellectual disability, including a mild level, moderate, severe, and profound. Every person is a unique individual, and these are averages of what individuals are like in these categories, but it may not describe everyone perfectly. For a mild intellectual disability, that's actually the most common level of intellectual disability. It includes about 85% of those who are intellectually disabled. They're able to fully communicate, speak in full sentences. They often have a wide range of friends. They're capable of independent living, and oftentimes they are individuals who are working using simple skills. They may need some support, though, in making decisions about their healthcare, nutrition, shopping, or raising a family. But overall, very functioning in many areas. Whereas the moderate level of intellectual disability, this includes about 10% of those with intellectual disability, they will need help with tasks such as money management. And socially, they can still completely verbalize, but they may use more simple spoken language. Their social judgment,
skills, etc. So this is where we try to identify early. But as she mentioned, sometimes it gets overlooked, especially in the mild cases. So sometimes it's so mild that you don't even realize that, these things are not necessarily what would I say, at the level that it should be at the time, but you're probably just saying, all right, let's just give them some time, they'll grow out of it and things like that. It's a misconception in Jamaica that we grow out of things, but sometimes it's really that we need to just pay more attention and ensure that we address certain things early so that they can get the support they need as we go along. So thank you so much for that video. And of course, you can always reach out and search for more information on intellectual disabilities online. The internet is amazing. It has so much information for us. And as we go through our panel discussion, we'll be hearing some more details as well. Now, speaking of this panel discussion, I'll now turn over to introduce our panelists. And the theme for this one is persons with intellectual disability in employment. Now, before I even get started, of course, we know that employment is essential, right? Once you hit adulthood, employment is essential because you want to be able to have the resources you need to take care of yourselves and your family. So this includes just having that community, that support, having money. How many people think they can live without money in terms of supporting themselves? Anybody? Anybody think they can do without money? Right, so money is important. We need to ensure that we have those means of employment. And it's a feature of adulthood. It provides opportunity for persons to earn in order to take care of these personal needs. It provides opportunities to interact with others outside of the home, establish friendships, and allow the persons to experience that sense of belonging and facilitated, rather, in their community. So employment is essential, but of course we know that based on the statistics even shared earlier and what we know of the community, there's a lot of disadvantage and a lot more work to be done to ensure these persons are included. So I welcome my panelists and I'll introduce them accordingly. Starting with Miss Debbie Garbut, so you can just do a little wave. Miss Debbie Garbut, yes. HR Operations Manager for Parang Industries. Now, Ms. Debbie Garbut has held this position of HR Operations Manager for over 25 years. She's a preventative control qualified individual, qualified to develop and oversee a food safety plant in food processing facilities. She's also the founder or founding member of Women's Inc. and a retired marathoner who has participated in many events, her favorite being the 26.2-mile course in Chicago. Wow. Now, how many people know how far 26.2 miles is? Not that far, no. I can do a 5K. Yeah, I don't think that's anywhere close, but that's a big achievement. Congratulations there. And Parang Industries has 2 manufacturing plants, a food facility, and a cosmetics plant. Over 75 persons are currently employed. So please again, welcome Ms. Debbie Garbut. Up next, we have Ms. Sophia Watt, Trade and Administrative Manager of UCC Creighton Estate Coffee Company. You can just do a little wave for me, please. All right, so Mrs. Sophia Watts is a graduate of Northern Caribbean University with a bachelor's in management studies, major in marketing. She also holds a master's in psychology and theology from Canon University, Orlando, Florida. She is currently employed to Jamaica UCC Blue Mountain Coffee Company in the capacity of trade and administrative manager. Mrs. Watts serves as a Chief Administrator of Lighthouse Ministries International. She is married and is the proud mother of one daughter. I really appreciate her mantra as well. It is your attitude, not your aptitude, that will determine your altitude. So again, please join me in welcoming Mrs. Sophia Watts. And next on our panel, all right, please correct me if I'm wrong here. Is it Dr. Rebecca Tortello? Right. So Dr. Rebecca Tortello, Education Specialist for UNICEF Jamaica Office. Now, for the last 5 years, Dr. Rebecca Tortello has served as the Education Specialist at UNICEF Jamaica. She has written a number of articles on education and is the author of a popular Jamaican history book, Pieces of the Past, several children's picture books, and edited a number of early childhood teacher/workbook series used in schools across Jamaica. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Tortello. All right, so ladies, how are we doing this morning? Good? All right.
Yes, testing.
Testing? All right, excellent. So persons with intellectual disability are often stigmatized because of their disability, of course, leading to discrimination and discriminatory practices in the workplace. Now, can you share how your company has attempted to reduce such occurrences? I'll start with you.
Okay. Well, at Perang, we have a non-discriminatory employment policy, and you come in at your own merit. There's no special path that you're brought in. You start at the same salary scale as the job dictates. What we do is we assign a team member to work with you as you learn the skills, so you can enter in seamlessly and become part of the team.
Nice, thank you. And I head over to in the middle.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning. What we have been doing, UCC, Yoshima Coffee Company, and the subsidiary here in Jamaica, Jamaica UCC Blue Mountain Coffee Company, is a Japanese firm with a coffee plantation or several coffee plantations and a great house in Irish Town, in the Blue Mountains. We have, so far, we have started with Jade since 2013 or 12, I believe. And this were introduced by my head office in Japan to begin the process of including the members of this community as part of our workforce. What we have been doing so far has been taking a few of the students from the Hope School of Hope, and we have had them integrated within the workforce. How we did that was by starting the education process to our staff members, those who are in the farm and those who are also in the great house, so that there is some level of comfort in the introduction of these, our young persons within their workforce.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Watt. Dr. Tortello?
Okay, so UNICEF globally also has a non-discriminatory employment policy, guidelines. In fact, there's an entire unit that sits at UNICEF headquarters in New York, which is our disabilities support unit. So they help to guide and help oversee in almost every aspect. So what kind of presentations that we do, the type of font, the type of color schemes, from every angle. They're encouraging us that whenever we make videos, we have to be more and more mindful that our offices are all accessible, that when we choose to have functions, we choose locations that are accessible. even if that location costs more, it's important that it be accessible. And this is slowly trickling down into the country offices like Jamaica. So in our office, we have one staff member who we actually access through Jade. He's a former Special Olympian with whom we've had a long-standing relationship, the Special Olympics Jamaica, which Digicel does as well, and Jade as well. And he's been with us now for about 5 years, and he actually works very closely with Charlene, who's over there doing those are mock interviews taking place. So Charlene managed, the hiring process, his interview, and so on. And he's involved. I don't know how long he's been there. It's been like 5 years. He's just part of the UNICEF Jamaica family. So any trainings that we do, he's part of any team building exercises. He's just one of the team. And we do try to identify areas in which he might be particularly interested and help him we're trying to move him through the HEART process. I mean, I can speak very quickly and more about what UNICEF is doing systematically or in the sector. So we have a long-standing relationship with the special education unit. We help to provide the funding for the completion of the national curriculum for persons with moderate to severe learning disabilities. So all of the young people in the schools that Jade coordinates, oversees, manages, are learning with that curriculum. We support the early screening, identification, and referral process that begins at birth. The Child Health Passport, which itself is an early screening tool, was developed through UNICEF funding. And now we're looking to digitize it and link it to the national ID system. So all of these, the doctor on the screen talked about disabilities appearing early in life. Yes. The earlier we can identify, the earlier we can refer for support, the better life opportunities for the child and that child's family. So there's a whole early screening pathway that we're working on with the ECC, Early Childhood Commission. There's an age 4 assessment we funded, validated, and now is the national assessment done with all 4-year-olds. Then there's referral practices, training of the therapists that they would go to. And the schools Jody mentioned, there's sensory rooms in those schools. And there are, I wouldn't say they're all trained therapists, but they're staffed. That's one of the challenges we face, right? They're staffed to do intervention. They're outfitted with resources. So we're working along all those levels. And there's a new chatbot we launched yesterday. And this is applicable to the young people in the room. I will send it to Marilyn, who can then send it out. Yes. It's called Fundu. So it's called Fundu because it's a life skills chatbot with mini courses that are fun to do. And we develop them with input from young people with disabilities. So we have 4 courses that went live on the platform yesterday that include content that young people told us they're most interested in. So there's one about mental health and wellness, preparing for a job interview. I think another one is mentorship and why mentors are important. And so when you go on Digicel or Flow, you can access it through whatever the number is, and you type Fundu. The 4 options come up. It's accessible via WhatsApp. So it's not an app that you have to download and pay for, etc. It's on your WhatsApp, which everybody uses, yes. Right? So in Jamaica anyway. And you can then, over time, it will unlock incentives like credit, yes, with Digicel and Flow's support as you complete. So that also is linked to skills to work guidelines, training that we've developed, and we're rolling out with the special ed unit across all of the schools nationwide. So there's all this work taking place, within the education sector, but within UNICEF, we have 1 employee. We're trying to advocate within the UN family that more of our sister agencies follow along this path. Nice. I know I took a long time and I've answered other questions. Also have to go soon to pick up a child from an exam, so I'm trying to get as much as I can in.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Dr. Tortello. And we hear a lot of the work that UNICEF is doing. I was actually at the Fundu launch, so that was really exciting to see that.
You look like you knew what I was talking about.
Definitely.
You were nodding.
Yeah, so Fundu, everybody check out that chatbot. It's a great initiative, and you get some life skills. Yeah. So you touched a bit on the training and the opportunities that you provide once the persons are employed. So can you both tell me a little bit about what your agency does just to ensure that they maximize on their capabilities while working?
Okay. Well, what we do is they are incorporated in our regular training. And if there is a need, the person that's assigned will carry them a little forward. We really try to make it that they're not different. They're part of our team. And our employees at the moment, we have, it's four persons are excellent team members. We're proud of all of them, and they contribute a lot to Perang Industries.
You need. What we have been doing so far, we have taken about 4 students from JADE over the past years. To date, we have 1 who remains. We had 2, but 1 chose to go elsewhere for employment. What we have been doing upon their entry, they of course are assigned a supervisor or individual who actually walks them through. So this person is like a big brother who stays closely to that, close enough to that individual when he comes in, or he or she comes in, but it's more in the male that we got in. So as they would be able to identify their skills or their aptitude or their level of grasping or understanding what it is that we're about, and we watch how they have evolved over the past couple of weeks or months, then we're able to actually shift them into directions that we believe that they'll be more suited for and will be able to manage. To date, we have 1, and I can't help but, ring out his name, William. William came into us, and he came in just as we had him in the nursery, the coffee farm, that is. So he was in the nursery potting or putting the coffee seedlings, preparing the bed, the pots for the coffee, and then further transferring them into the soil for planting. To date, we have a tour attraction. William is assisting the tour guide to date with visitors who attend Creighton Estate for a coffee plantation tour. And he does it so gracefully. And just to let you know that the people who are visiting all across the world who would come to Creighton Estate seek out William. Where's William? He interacts very well. So to see him coming out of Jade into the coffee farm, in the nursery, going through the coffee farm itself and learning the different things and skills that are needed in planting coffee and reaping as well. He's now interacting with all members of staff and with visitors on property.
Excellent. Wow, let's hear it again for William. Yes. I love that. So we see them growing through the platform, developing skills, and of course, you got a promotion because that's now frontline duty, interacting with customers and everything. I love that. Well, the Disabilities Act, of course, we know that was enacted in February 2022. So policy is essential and it's in place to ensure that we get that inclusivity. But do you have any practical steps that you'd recommend to other organizations to increase just how the organization integrates persons living with intellectual disabilities? I'll start with you, Dr. Tortello.
Well, as I said, we are trying as a UN family to do just that. So it requires self-reflection in terms of how your organization runs, what the space looks like as well is important, depending on the types of disabilities. And then in terms of the training, a lot of our processes are, as I was saying, they're already accessible, they're inclusive. So we do have a lot of mandatory training and then ongoing training that we all have to do. And a lot of it is online, asynchronous, etc. And so our young man, his name is Ajurni does those as needed. And I think if you make, when I first came to UNICEF, we didn't have this position. It wasn't filled with by a person with disabilities. And when the person who was sort of, retired, we had an opportunity, and we said we want to try to recruit a young person with disabilities. And so we advertised, but we wound up going through Jade, and then this is what happened. Charlene managed all of that, so she can tell you more of the sort of nitty-gritty. But I think it begins with the interest, the decision to do so. And to try to continue to do so, and then to build on that by sharing that story to encourage other organizations to do so, because there are so few that I can count on, that I know of. Maybe there are more, I hope so, than that I know of. I mean, some were mentioned, DEFCAN, Lo Shushan, Digicel itself, and these 2 companies here. But we should have, every company should have a certain percentage of their employees that are young people with disabilities. And when we are trying to move young people from school to work, they have to have somewhere to go. So we can train them But then when they graduate or their time at certain schools is over, what happens? And it can cause mental issues, mental health and wellness issues that ripple through the whole.
Have to institute the account where payments are now being made. We're going cashless. We're now cashless, right? And William is looking at, Mrs. Watt, I need to open an account, the one I had with my mom, and he's seeking, he's asking, you're talking to him and you're helping him, you know, and he's just ready and willing to work and to just be a part of everything that is happening. So the environment there is a fun-loving one. It's one where you are welcome at all times. Once William is around, you're going to have a fantastic day, I guarantee you.
Yes, thank you. It sounds like I need to visit so I can meet William.
Oh, yes, you would love him.
All right, Mrs. Garbu, do you have any?
Hi. I just want to say, one of the program, we have a very strong disciplinary action against bullying, and it goes on all levels. It doesn't just apply to our special abilities employees. And I find that this goes a strong way. It sets an example that this is not how we treat each other. We treat each other with respect at all times. And our 4 employees they're exemplary. They shine and set an example for those of us who consider ourselves intellectual and accomplished. We can depend on them to show us the way and bring their gifts to the table.
Nice, thank you. All right, so I'll take your point as well as the
Well,
final.
I mean, just to echo what my colleagues have said, I mean, Ajani is part of our team. He's treated the same. He's our front desk officer. So as you come in, he's the face that you see first, and he greets everybody and like what you're saying and helps to tell you where to go or to wait until he can tell in terms of how.
They're part of the family and the community that you've created for them. So can we get a round of applause for my panel, please? Excellent. So we have with us Debbie Garbott. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Yes. Debbie Garbott, Sophia Watt, as well as Dr. Rebecca Tortello. Thank you, ladies, so much. That's good. All right, so that panel discussion was very insightful, and I'm really happy to hear the feedback, but I think the highlight from that was the partnership element, where we need more hands on deck, and especially public-private sector partnerships, so across-the-line partnerships, so that we're included all around. So there's inclusivity all around, and the Disabilities Act is in place to ensure that these workplaces abide by these guidelines to ensure that everyone feels appreciated and like a part of the work environment. So thank you again, ladies, for that discussion. And we heard some more about, just the policies and activities that they have in their respective places of work to facilitate persons living with intellectual disabilities. So we have now a presentation on customizing employment for persons living with intellectual disabilities. So just to act as a guide to tell you, what steps can you take and what are the measures you can implement to ensure that your workplace is ready to accommodate everybody and, of course, exercise that level of diversity. So without further ado, I invite Diane Lowton Franklin, behavioral therapist with JADE, to make this presentation.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I am glad that we did this panel discussion before I came on because they really set the pace. So I know that all that our employers who are listening will ensure that they have a person with intellectual disability within their organization. Can I hear an amen for that one? All right, so this afternoon it's going to be a brief but very important presentation and really a conversation. We'll be looking at customizing employment for persons with intellectual disability, and we can see that our panelists have already been doing that. What we want is for other persons to catch the fire and to get on board with that, okay? So when we talk about job customization, what is it that we're really talking about is job carving, right? So it's a flexible process designed to personalize the employment relationship between a job candidate and the employer. So it's a best fit for both candidates. So it's not a sorry for situation where you say, boy, this person have intellectual disability, let me try a thing. It is not that sort of a thing. It is supposed to be a best fit
for both persons, both the employers and the employees, and our panelists alluded to that as well. Now, why should we do job customization? And this is repeating, but repetition makes it stick. Now, although many persons with intellectual disability want to work, and we've said that before, once you get to a certain age, most of us want to work. Isn't that true? But the truth is, right, that most of our persons, and especially in the Caribbean community, they face several personal and societal barriers that make it very difficult. People like to say, boy, persons with disability don't have no sense. And that is, we say that a lot, and that really hurts me, and we need to stop that. Everybody needs to work. Everybody is entitled to work. Everybody must be given the opportunity to work. And once employers get that within their head, then we know that it will work. Barriers begin in the mind. And once we break that, do you see the excitement on our panelists' faces when they're talking about persons with intellectual disability? They took a risk. And it is a risk for a lot of persons. But you will never know, right, unless you take the chance. The truth is, and let me tell you a little secret, and I want you to spread it. You see, persons with intellectual disability, you see, once you get them in your organization, you don't want anybody else. Let me tell you, loyal, when break time is over, them get up and gone back. You understand me? When you give them a task to do, they complete it. You could ask for more, right? So if you look into this job customization thing, maybe even you as the employers, you're winning more than anything else, right? So think about it. Let's go to the next slide. Good. So how does this work? So I'm up here talking about this job customization. How does it work? Well, both the employer and the service provider work together to identify opportunities to enhance the business's services and increase profitability. And we know you want to be profitable, right? Good. So we're not just doing a run-of-the-mill thing. And Jade, and let me tell you, Heart NSTA also has been doing a lot of customization, right? So if you also want persons to do specific tasks, Heart NSTA, JAID, JCPD, we all can assist you in that, because we know sometimes the task is daunting and you would need to know how to start. Good? So both the employer and the service provider must work together to identify opportunities to enhance the business's service and to increase profitability. Additionally, internationally, many employers use the trade and place method, and that works better with our population, let me tell you. So when they are in situ, so you carry them to the place and you show them exactly what to do. It may take a couple of runs, but let me tell you, when they get it and they never forget it, right? So that is the model that we subscribe to, train and place. Good? All right, we can move on. Now also, what it looks like in the organization is that we have some focus areas. So the first focus area is what the person with ID brings to the labor market, right? So instead of you just have a position and you want to fill it, in our situation, we tell you what kind of skills the person would bring to your organization, and as we say, we find a best fit scenario. Good? Another focus is that working with the persons with intellectual disabilities and the employers, we usually shape the job, as we say, shape the job opportunity. So we'll come into your organization, and for example, in a supermarket, we see that, boy, between 10 and 12, the shelves are not fixed up properly, right? And we say, all right, you know that we have a person who is meticulous, and we assure you that this person would be the best fit for your organization. So you know that that person will come in between 10 and 12. Doesn't have to be a 40-hour work week, right? So they would come in between 10 and 12 or 10 to 2, that sort of an arrangement, and your shelves would be perfect. As a matter of fact, right now internationally in Europe, in the hotel industry, what they are doing is that when they employ persons with intellectual disability, they do some simple things. And it seems simple to us. What they do is that they put up pictures. So if his towels are stored here, you put the picture of the towel here. So when I come in and I want some towels for the guests as a person with intellectual disability, I know exactly where to go. So you put both the picture and the words, because some of our persons with intellectual disability cannot read. And that is just the truth of the matter. But when you use pictorials, then you realize realize that that works much better. In Japan also, I am told that in the manufacturing industry, what they have done also is to segment the task. So they break it down. So there's a task that I am very good at, so you know that that task will be done well. You are good at another task, then I give you that opportunity. Also, say for instance, you want your towels nicely folded, but I can't fold it so well. Other persons within the hotel industry have also just put a little thing in the towel, a little cardboard, and they fold it like that, and just pull out the cardboard. Towel fold nice, not true? And when you look, all the things are done. What we're saying is that we want you to take a chance on our persons with intellectual disability so that we can reduce that 90% that we heard about. Now, employers, you have nothing else to say. If you want loyalty, if you want persons that will do your work, just talk to us. We can do customization. You can't lose. It's a win-win. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You see how simple it is? Yeah? Just implement these steps and you can have an inclusive environment. And of course, it can be a comfortable environment as well. So you just put the things in place and as you mentioned, take a chance. Don't be afraid to include them. You'll be surprised how capable they are and how they'll demonstrate those capabilities to you. So again, it's not just about filling a vacancy, right? It's about identifying what unique skills they have. It's, you know, that's the saying, what do you bring to the table? So figure out what they can bring to the table and use those skills and those talents to the best of their abilities to help them to be a part of that community. So thank you so much for that simple but effective breakdown of Dr. Luton Franklin. And I am pleased to see that there's measures in place to ensure that persons with intellectual disabilities can be included. All right, so now it's time for a testimonial video. So of course we want to hear the stories of persons who would have gone through the program, they would have experienced, being employed and working with persons who are, living with intellectual disabilities. So let's see a few of those testimonials now. I direct your attention to the screen.
Hi, my name is William Lewis. I am the coffee farmer. I work every day. I water the young coffee. I weed the young coffee. I prune the big coffee. I read and ripe coffee. I work for 6 years. I love my work. I am the best coffee farmer. If I don't understand about the work, my boss explains to me. I want to work for a long time, so allow me.
My name is Nigel Davis. I working with Parang for 18 years now, and I start off in the packaging area first, then I go to soap press. Right now I'm making the soaps. I'm the soap miller and the soap extruder. What I love about Parang, also they have someone to help you around when you don't really understand. I am working. I help my mom with the bills, and she's proud of me. Thank you, Parang. You allow me to work.
Wow, I love that. Allow me. Something that stood out from both of these participants is the pride that they felt just being employed and being a part of these initiatives. I'm the best coffee farmer, I'm a soap miller, and they're not afraid to ask for help because everybody needs help sometimes, whether or not you're a person living with intellectual disability. So don't be afraid to ask for help and don't be afraid to allow them to be a part of your organization. So if you're not here and you're on the YouTube stream and you're thinking of opening a company, include some persons with intellectual disabilities. You'll have an amazing work environment. All right, so at this time as well, I want to big up, of course, the Windsor School of Special Education. Their tagline is Learning for Life, and they are selling a few of the items that their children living with intellectual disabilities have made. So yes, to talk about skills and talent, a lot of those things over there, I couldn't make them, so I'm very impressed with the great work that they have on display. So please go and check them out, and if you can offer us some level of support, please do so. And we're going to be moving into session 2, which will involve the interview sessions with the persons living with intellectual disabilities and or HR professionals. So you see that taking place at the moment. Randolph Lopez? Right, so we also have Randolph Lopez, who is here. So welcome, welcome. Oh, you can just wave your hand for me, the team. Nice, welcome students. I'm happy to see you here. Yes, and their items are outside, so if you want to check them out, please do and offer some support. Awesome. So I'm having a good time and I'm learning a lot. I hope everybody else is having a good time as well. Can I see the raise of hands of persons who are here to participate in the interview sessions? Oh man, raise your hand, man. You're proud and bold to be happy to be here. Yes, so my advice to you really is just to be confident, right? To be yourself. And just to put your best self forward, right? So you know why you're here. You know why it is that you want to participate in this activity, and you know the benefit that it's going to bring to your life. So what you need to do is just be yourself. Show them your best self. You have your resumes put together. We know what's on the paper. That's easy to write, but show them your true self. Don't be afraid to be who you are when you go to that table and show those HR professionals why you should be a part of their companies, all right? So just give yourselves a round of applause just for coming out today. Yes, and I wish you all the best as you go over to do your mock interviews with the panel. So now we have some question and answers. I'll open the floor for question and answers, and we just want to move forward in addressing the employment equity among PWID. Of course, we have some critical success factors that we as a country must consider. So we want to, of course, have that multi-sectoral approach to addressing employment barriers. We want the government program specific to employment promotion of persons living with intellectual disabilities, the disaggregation of data on employment of persons living with intellectual disabilities in the open labor market, disabilities policies within organizations, and we heard about the anti-bullying policy, which is a great one as well, family empowerment and support. So families should be empowered as well so that they too can offer support to their children and family members living with intellectual disabilities. We also want to implement structured systems to provide ongoing support to enhance the well-being and productivity of persons living with intellectual disabilities. And we also want to highlight these success stories, right? So we saw our 2 persons living with intellectual disabilities. They're proud, they're happy, they're just being involved in the system, and that sense of belonging is what gives us that satisfaction to know that we're helping these persons to live lives that are sustainable, that are fulfilling, and they're a part of that community. So if there are any questions at this time, please let me know, and I believe I'll invite, or should I invite Mrs. Lowton Franklin? Yes, you can respond to the questions. So if there are any questions at this time, from anybody at all? No? Okay, good. So I think the session was informative. I think we got the best out of it. And at this time, I'm going to be closing the live stream. So thank you for joining us in the YouTube stream. And for persons who are here, thank you so much for having me as your Master of Ceremonies. It was a great morning. I learned a lot. I'm proud of the work that's being done, but there's always room for improvement. So just to borrow from Digicel Foundation, let's all work together to create a place where no one gets left behind. Thank you.